So what is fear? And why do we let it run our lives? Let's explore this creation, this production with lights and sound and sets and actors and shadowy creatures. So powerful and so real, we believe it and let it run our lives. It's a performance in our minds. It's a show, a production that we create. And yet, we suspend our disbelief and we're carried down this river into darkness. Let's unpack this self-made production. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote in his Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." The Stoics taught us that it's not what happens to us, it's our judgment about them. So in other words, we can complain about a rainy day, or we can praise Mother Nature for blessing us with water. We suffer more in our imagination than our reality. I have to laugh about that one because it's true. It's not the thing that happens that causes the suffering. It can, but we often suffer more thinking about it. So we're the stage manager backstage going, "Curtain going up! Production starting, let the fear begin!" And we put on the show for ourselves. It's not real, it's totally in our head, which is incredible because we let so much of it run our lives. And the more we fear, the more we bring it to life. Picture a time when you were gripped by fear. Your dry mouth and your heart is palpitating and maybe your stomach is turning and you've got the jitters and you're talking fast and our bodies start to feel differently. We have physical sensations while your mind is conjuring up 1,000 versions of doom. I don't want to laugh about it because it's real when you're feeling it. As my other video says, anxiety lies, check it out. If anxiety lies, fear is 1,000 lies. How many times have you stopped yourself from speaking, from putting your truth out into the world? I know so many artists and choreographers and producers who have tormented themselves for fear of reaction, rejection, or failure. It's not ready, it's going to be judged. They literally stop their creativity for fear of what others might think. Me too. I have done this so much in my life. Despite how much I've done, there's a lot that I haven't. These videos are a perfect example. Who's gonna watch it? Who's gonna do this? Who's gonna do that? What to say? Will it look good? Will I be judged? For years. Until I finally pushed record and started talking. And here we are. All of that was just the story I told myself. And I could have told myself a different story. And so can you. So I'm telling myself a different story. Your voice is worthy to put out into the world. People need to hear what you have to say. People need to learn what you've learned. Rather than have them experience what you've experienced on their own, have a hint as to what might happen if they do what we have done. That is the voice you tell yourself. That's what I tell myself every time I push record and edit and put upload. And here we are, having an experience together. Isn't it amazing? It is amazing. It's amazing to have something out in the world that you created that has come to life. Yeah, I'm putting my truth out there, and if it gets judged, it gets judged. But it's me. It's my authentic self. And what's great about being in a creative space, it's in the now. You are in the process of creating something. You're not thinking about it or planning it, or you're actually doing the work it takes to bring something to life. And what you're watching is a physical manifestation of that, despite the torment I have caused myself. But I've learned to just do the work and depend on the work and depend on your talent. I say it all the time, train and prepare, believe. Believe it is in you and it is worthy of living out in the world. It is worthy for others to experience. Infuse yourself with that voice and the fear just kind of goes away. It really does. I'm saying this to you because there might be something in you that is really trying and wanting and belongs outside of yourself, and it's been stopped by your fear. It's time to dispel the fear, because that you can control, and put out into the world your creation and let that be what it is. You can't control the reaction. What you can control is your most authentic self, putting it out there into the world for people to celebrate, experience, and enjoy. The jury is still out about whether it will go anywhere, if the channel will get likes and subscribers, and if it'll grow and what it is, but I'm willing to have this creation with you. I'm willing to explore the editing and the lighting and the sound and the graphic design and the visuals and the music and all this. I'm back in my creative space and I love it. Even if nothing ever happens with the channel, I put my creative voice into something again, and I'm dancing again instead of on stage through video editing. And it's really, really cool how it's coming together. And I thank you for watching it. I really, really appreciate it more than you know. Whatever happens, however this goes, I've proven that fear that was once paralyzing is baseless, a mere figment of my imagination. I stand before you now, having dissolved my fear, and you're watching the result of what can happen when you step forward and let the voices just disintegrate. Because they're just voices. They're just voices designed to protect you that can sometimes get in the way. You gotta say, thank you for sharing, take the back seat. I'm driving this car. It works. Alan Watts, an elegant modern philosopher, often talked about the interplay between illusion and reality. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. I love the dance part. Yes, he's talking my language. Just move with it. Plunge in and do the dance. Your version of the dance. Without judgment, of course. But yeah, move with it. Be with it. Be in that fear and the unknown and the ugliness and the catastrophizing, knowing that it's just a movie you created in your mind to make you believe what is not real. We must step into the dance with courage and curiosity and brave our fear and just be with the space and the movement and the music and the lights and the other dancers, and you're sweating and breathing and panting and living life into this beautiful idea. It is really life-changing. And that can happen in your real life if you just move with it. Go with it. Don't fight it. Just be with it. And you will have creations that you would never think of otherwise without being with that fear. I know this to be true in my life. There are things I've created under the gun that came right out of the fear. I was sitting in front of a room full of dancers, fabulous top-of-the-line dancers, and my mind went blank. There was not an idea in my head. There was nothing there. I had no idea what to do next. And I was in a panic, and my heart starts beating. I started hyperventilating very quietly as I'm listening to the music, trying to think of something. And I looked up. I was feeling this. Everyone do this. And then this and this. I literally brought my fear to life in the space, and the dancers looked incredible. And it was out of my body, into the world, onto their bodies, and they had no idea what I was going on inside of myself, but they had brought my anxiety and fear of just emptiness in my brain to life, and a whole section was born. That was amazing. I had to be willing to be in the fear and be in that space of being unable to speak and didn't have an idea to give to these professional dancers that were paid to do what I needed them to do. And I trusted myself, took the urge, and did it. And it's now on stage on Broadway. It literally is. In The Lion King. Shh. And it can pay you back big, literally. You have to be willing to fail. I use that word in air quotes because I don't think there's real failure. It's just learning. You've got to be willing to stumble along and not really be sure of what's next. Be willing to figure it out in front of people. Let them judge you, talk about you, let them think that you don't know what you're doing, and trust your talent and your ability to figure out the situation. That's what failure is. It's tiny little ideas that don't work. But in the exploration of those ideas, you find new ideas that would not have existed if you hadn't gone through the small ones that didn't come to life. If you can be in that space, then suddenly failure goes away. There's just learning and growing and believing and learning and growing and believing more and more and more, and then you have your life. It takes a while to get there, and the only way to get there is to go through it. So this fear, this anxiety, this thing that we create can be used as a mentor, as a teacher, as a guide pointing the way if you're willing to be in that uncomfortable space. Learning takes bravery. It costs to have learned something. There's a price for wisdom. The courage doesn't lie in the absence of fear. It lies in the ability or the capacity to move forward and not let it dictate their actions. So how do we do this? How do we step forward into our greatness despite our fear? Well, I have to say that despite really a lifetime of anxiety and fear and tormenting myself through this angst of imagination, I also imagined the best case scenario. I tell myself, what if it all goes right? What if everything goes according to plan? That is possible. And we get to decide which one we want to live in. I remember I would close my eyes and see myself in the space, especially when I was dancing. I would see the stage, the lights in other countries. I would be doing the choreography, and it would be so real. While the music played in my mind, I could bring myself to tears. And what was incredible was that after years of working, I would be on stage performing professionally with those exact same images and feelings I created years earlier. That was amazing. I mean, truly incredibly transformative. Envisioning the best case scenario so real that I made it come true, and I believe I made it come true. So you can imagine the fear and bring that to reality, or you can envision the best case scenario and bring that to reality. Which one do you want to do? Forgive yourself in advance. Forgive yourself for the stumbles that are bound to come. Because if you're living in your life and pushing yourself, you're going to stumble. When you stumble, see that as another challenge, as a detour. Use all of that to get you wherever you've got to go. Ground yourself in the present moment. Be mindful that we're alive now. Fear is living in the future. Regret is living in the past. Love is living in the now. And this is where you want to be. And knowing that fear is a production of our minds, we can watch them go by like movies, like a production, changing scenery, let it pass. It's not real, it's out there. It's created to protect you from whatever may happen in the future. But again, that fear most likely will never come to manifest. Create habits to honor the fear. I hear you, I see you, I feel you, and we're gonna move forward anyway. Thank you for sharing. You know where to go. Cognitive reframing. I highly recommend therapy for everyone, anyone that's ready to be on this journey of self-reflection and self-awareness. They teach you cognitive tools, how to turn things into a situation that you want to be in. As the example I used earlier, either there's rain and it's horrible, it ruins a day, or it's rain, it's a blessing for the earth. Both are true. You decide which one you want to live in. You have to be in a space where you are in control of your life, and you're not letting life happen to you. You are happening to your life by taking control of the things you can control and building yourself so that when these things happen, you are more fortified to take the positive reframing, that cognitive tool, as opposed to living in that fear in that dark place. Building the support of friends and loved ones who will listen, who will hear, who will remind you of your gifts and be your champion. We have to have a crew behind us, a community behind us. We cannot do this life alone. We may think we can, and maybe we want to have it and be a hero and a martyr, but in truth, we are communal creatures. We need each other to get through these times. So build a fortress of people around you who love and will support you. Find them and fortify them. Nurture those relationships. They will come in handy when you need them, and you do the same for them. So I say again, fear is not real. It's a shadowy story we tell ourselves. By understanding the nature of how we produce these incredible productions of what seems real, we can start to unpack them and see them as just that. They're just imaginings, and you can decide which one you want to live in. And in doing so, you get to know yourself better and you can step into your greatness. Remember, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, he who is not every day conquering some fear has not learned the secret of life. He who is not conquering some fear every day is not living. That's what I said. If you're not conquering some fear every day moving forward, you're not alive. And you're not standing in your greatness. Push yourself to the limit of your ability. Be reasonable with yourself. Be realistic. I'm not saying be reckless and wild and crazy. Take the steps you need to inch towards the life that you want. It's all there for you if you see fear for what it is, just a production in your mind. You are powerful. You are unstoppable. You are greatness. And the fear is the shadow. You